Hey guys, thanks for joining me for another Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera Omnia video, and today we're going to do a character guide on Rude. Rude is actually a very fun, simple character to play. He's a very good support character you can put on your team. So we'll go ahead and take a look at his artifacts and his spheres, and then we'll do a little showcase on him. For his force enhancements, he actually is not a charger, so he has the standard force enhancements. If you really like him, take him up to 30. Otherwise, I think you can get away with him at 10, like what I've got here. But like if you want to do more damage and thus improve his whole kit, you would take him all the way to 30. But I think this guy can be okay at 10. So we'll take a look here. So for his artifacts, you got a few options here. So if you're not familiar with Rude, he is a big-time healing and battery character. And his healing and battery all scales a lot off of max brave, but then also he heals based on HP damage done. So attack is important because you want to do a lot of HP damage to do more healing. But then for his straight up battery, you want max brave, right? So you could go attack 108, max brave 330, which I actually don't have any of those. You could do attack 108 and a C50. Now his C50 is actually very unique. It increases the party's max HP by 5%. So if you have 3 of these on, your party is getting 15% max HP. This is really good too for like HP team comps. So when you have characters like Lena, whose attacks scale off of HP, you can kind of do some crazy things with that, right? So that's another thing. But I think in general, just having more HP is kind of good. So I like attack 108 and the C50, but you could do attack 108, max brave would be really good. Or you could do just max brave in the C50 if you wanted to. I think any combination of those 3 is going to be fine. It just depends on your preference. But I like having a lot of HP, so I don't mind that. Then for his spheres. So we'll hop in and look at a sphere. So we've got an A, C, and a D slot here on this guy. So on the A sphere, the thing with Rude that you can do, because there are a lot of spheres that are just like max brave only that are kind of like dud spheres, but I think a character like Rude is somewhere where you could utilize those because max brave is more important to him than say most characters because he's doing so much battery that scales off of his max brave. So if you have any just like generic max brave spheres you want to get rid of and put on somebody, you could put them on Rude. Now for my A slot, I had actually, so like when Rude like first came out, he was like one of the best characters in the game. So I kind of went big and put like a couple of full refined spheres on him. So I had put Gao on him. I would say brave damage and attack is fine on him as well, because obviously if you do more damage, you're doing more HP damage, thus you're doing more healing. So attack, max brave, and brave damage, any of those are fine. You can kind of pick the combo. If you are someone that just loves Rude and want to go all in on him, I would do a sphere that's like attack and max brave. If you can get both of those on one sphere, that's probably the best one you can do there. For the C slot, his own is actually pretty good because, once again, if you're going with the max brave route, when you heal, raise party max brave. The thing is literally everything Rude does heals. He doesn't have any attacks that don't heal other than his AA. I think his AA doesn't heal, but literally every other attack he does heals. So as long as you're not getting one shot, like Rude is very good at keeping your party healthy and healing. So this is an example of a straight up C slot. Now, if you want to do something that's more standard, you could do, like the Lude, Maria, like one of those typical C spheres that's going to like buff party attack. Something else you can do for Rude that's interesting is he doesn't have regen. He does a lot of like on turn healing, but he doesn't have much regen. So you could give him a regen sphere like Rosa or Porum if you want to actually add regen to his kit and have him heal more often. That's actually an interesting strategy because what you're going to find out later from his LD, any overflow healing he does actually turns into brave gain. So then like when you're doing regen, you're actually getting brave gain on that, which can be kind of cool, right? So that's another option. Now, he's not encouragement armor, but Paladin Cecil still is a good sphere you could put on him because it is about brave gains, which like Rude does a lot of that. So even though he doesn't have the encouragement armor, Paladin Cecil could still work. On mine, I just have a max brave sphere there for Rude, which is fine. Now on the D slot, you want to kind of do one of these party attack buffing ones. So, like Ash and Saz here, which I have, could work. But definitely best in slot here is Hope. Because Hope is doing party attack and max brave. Once again, attack, max brave, those are like the 2 best things you can give him. So once again, on his artifacts, Attack Max Brave is also really good. I just like HP, so I went with the C50 there. But yeah, Attack Max Brave together is really the best spheres you can give this guy, if possible. But my setup here isn't bad. You're going to notice spheres don't like make or break a character. They're just nice little add-ons. But if you want to fully maximize Rude, I would say in the A slot, do an Attack Max Brave one. D slot, you could do Hope. And then the C slot, I kind of like the Rosa Porum idea. Just doing the regen, I think, is actually kind of fun. But Paladin Cecil would be really good, or just the Max Brave one like I've got of Rude, I think is fine there. All right, so let's go ahead and hop into the showcase. And this guy is incredibly simple and easy to play. He's really hard to mess up because he's literally just, no matter what button you press, he's going to heal and do his thing, right? The big thing with Rude is I would just open up with his LD. So we'll go ahead and start the fight here. What's really cool about his LD is it gives him a buff that does a lot for the party. So we're going to use that right away. So we're going to get into turn here. And so we're going to open with LD, which is combination art. So let's go ahead and do that. We'll throw that down right there. All right. So, and you'll see it does a fair decent amount of damage. And then we do like healing, right? So what comes from this buff is a couple things. One is Rude is getting crit rate up 100%. That's good for Rude because the more he's critting, the more brave damage he's doing, the more HP damage he's doing. The other big thing that comes from this is that when he's got this buff on, 500% of excess healing is converted into brave. So what this means is, you know, for a character that heals on every skill, you're going to think, oh, well, that would be useless if my party's already got max HP. But what Rude does with this buff is now that excess healing just turns into brave gains. So he's basically, if you're fully healthy, he's just a gigantic brave gain machine. The reason, too, why I do kind of recommend that C50 passive for giving the party max HP up is on his LD, when he heals for 100% of HP damage, and then he also heals based on 100% max HP. So the more maximum HP there is, the more healing he's doing, therefore the more brave gains you're getting. So that's why that C50 passive can be recommended there as well, right? All right, so let's go ahead and do some stuff with Garnet. So basically, if you just pop the LD and you've got that buff up, you just really want to upkeep it, and it's an 8-turn buff, so it lasts a really long time. So you don't really have to pay too much attention to it. Basically, if you're looking at Rude and any of his buffs are ticked down to like 1, just click on it and see what is ticked down to 1. And then if it's that buff, you want to make sure you refresh that with the LD, right? We'll look at the 15 and 35 here, and then we'll get the EX up when we get it. His AA resist boost all. It's party max brave and brave gains up, which is really good. And then party brave damage taken minus 10%. The other thing that comes from his LD buff is he takes 20% less brave damage. So he's got a little bit of tanking in there as well to help the party out. So he's a character that when I used him back in the day, he was like a very safe character to bring because he makes your party feel safe. He makes you feel protected. You know you're always going to be healed up. So you do want to try to stay at full HP because you want Rude brave gaining, right? But if you have to heal, just know that any of his buttons can just heal on a dime, which is really good. So we'll use the AA and just throw that on. So once again, a little bit of brave damage down. We're getting some party max brave up, brave gains up with that there. All right, so let's go ahead and do Crush Hammer. So Crush Hammer is like your main AoE attack. So this is like AoE brave damage, and once again, you see party heals, but those heals now just convert into brave gains, which is really, really nice there. And then we'll go ahead and swap back in. Go back into Rude here. So yeah, that's basically, and then it gives him a buff called Turk's Method. So his 15 and 35 both give the Turk's Method buff, and it's basically just attack max brave up, party attack max brave up, and brave damage taken down by 30%. So once again, just throughout the kit, if you're doing the buffs, you're getting some party brave damage taken down, you're doing a lot of healing, and you're doing a lot of brave gains. That's really the role that Rude plays here. So let's go ahead and do Materia Tactics here. Now you're going to see this is more single target. Okay, so it's just straight up full single target. Once again, he brave gains in between his dumps, and then he heals the party on that, right? So literally, the 15 and 35, you're just choosing, do you want single target or do you want AoE? But otherwise, they do the same buff. They both do healing. They're both going to do brave gains, right? So they're very, very similar things there. So now let's get into Rude's EX. And then Rude's EX is another big AoE attack, a lot of healing, and then he gets a different buff called Professional's Fist. which is attack and max brave up for himself, and then party brave damage or brave gain stolen 20%. So you just want to use it when it comes up. It's going to do good damage. It's going to give you a unique buff. And that's really it with Rude. He's super simple and easy, right? It's use the LD, you upkeep the buff with the LD, otherwise you're just spam healing with the 15 of 35. You use the EX when it comes up. You might use that AA periodically to keep that up, and that's all you really do. That's it. That's Rude. He's super simple, super fun, super easy to play. So anyways, guys, there you go. There's my guide on Rude. Hope this helps. If you have any other questions, please let me know. Feel free to hop into my Discord. It's in the description of all my videos. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you all on the next one.